If you were to ask me, match coverage is the best way to learn how to play defense every single year. And the reason that I would say that is, while it can be a complicated system at first, once you learn it, these rules will travel with you into the future and serve you well in future Maddens, so you're not searching for a coverage-based defense at the start of the year when players are getting their feet under them. So in today's video, I'm gonna break down 10 of the best tricks that you should learn about match coverages of all types and how they can help you get so much better on defense. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell, and let's start it off with number 10. Cover 4 quarters has a rule set that applies if you are in off coverage versus press coverage. I like to call this the Meg check, man everywhere he goes. If you decide to play quarters in off coverage, meaning you're not pressed, the outside defensive backs will only play match coverage on the outside receivers if they go vertical. When I snap this ball here, you're gonna see that the outside DBs do not match the outside receivers because they stay in the flats. In this example, I'm gonna roll up into press coverage. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put those same receivers on smoke routes in the flat and snap the football. Look at how the DBs stay in the flat with those players. They have activated man everywhere they go. This means that even if they run underneath on a drag, these players will play them man-to-man, and this will aid your underneath defense. Just be aware of those beat press animations. Number 9, quarters versus trips. In this example, we have trips to the right side of the field. While we are in press quarters here, you're gonna note that if I send the outside receiver underneath on a drag, he will not actually match him like he does against twins. Instead, he opts to look to match the corner route to the second receiver, and we get a coverage sack. Be aware that the Meg rule only applies to 2 receiver alignments. Now, before I get into number 8 on our countdown, if you guys are lacking for the rules of match coverage, I've done so many videos over the years here on the channel. If you want to dig through them, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment below to push this video out in the YouTube algorithm. Otherwise, if you want them all organized for you in the best and most complete format, make sure you guys head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. You can take a look at our match game plan in addition to all of our other offensive and defensive game plans, and well over 150 vault tips, which are updated weekly, focused on the meta or the most effective tactics available of competitive Madden, breaking down what pro players are doing, why it works, and how you guys can counter it when you face it online, so you guys can win more rewards, stop spending on those packs, and obviously win more ball games. You guys can unlock everything on the website for $9.95. Make sure you hop in our Discord. We have lab sessions every single week at no additional charge. Number 8, flat types. All the time I get the question, how do you know if a play is match-based or not? Well, the easy way to tell is to look at the earmark at the bottom left-hand corner of every play type. You'll see that a play like Cover 4 Palms says match, and it has a little pink banner. You can also take a look at the flat zones on these plays as well. They'll be a little bit more of a light purple or pinkish hue, while the true zone plays, like for instance, Sim Pressure 3, are gonna be more purple. You can also take the field and pull up your play art, and if your flat zone says something like seam flat or quarter flat, you know that those are matching plays. If the play has what is called a curl flat, this is going to be a true zone coverage. Also, for what it's worth, if you have a play with quarter flats and you decide to shade your coverage down to hard flats, this is no longer match coverage. You must have a quarter flat or a seam flat on the field to play match, as it turns all the other zones into match behaviors. Number 7, let's say that you're in a zone coverage based play, but you suddenly decide you want to play match. To activate a match coverage within that play without audibling, all you need to do is make sure that the side of the field you want to play match on has a seam flat on it by hot routing your outside linebacker or slot corner. From there, the outside defensive back can be hot routed to an outside quarter. Now, this is really cool because this will activate matching principles, allowing us to play a comeback route, or if our opponent is running some sort of crossing route and you want to have that matched, you'll see that that outside defensive back will travel with that B receiver simply because you activated the seam flat in the quarter on the same side. Another cool trick is that you can combine this with our press coverage rule against the Twins. So if you decide to roll up and press, now all of a sudden that outside quarter that you hot routed is in the Meg rule that we talked about at the start of the video. So now it's not just only if they go vertical, it's man to man no matter what, everywhere they go. So now you see that the B receiver on the drag is covered with this adjustment as well. Number 6, inside quarters. Much like that outside quarter adjustment I just showed you, if you ever decide that you want to do a similar matching principle with an inside quarter, again, make sure that you have a seam flat on the side of the field that you want to do this with, and take your safety and place them in an inside quarter. This will activate them in match coverage specifically on the third receiving option. This is for trips, not for twins. And you'll see right here that this crossing route to Worthy will now be matched by the right side safety. This can help play a little bracket within an overall zone coverage by knowing specifically which safety or which outside corner, if you're talking about the previous tip, you want to convert to a match situation. Again, knowing that if their player goes vertical, they'll play them man to man. If their player doesn't, they'll play the zone that you put them in to begin with. Number 5, the seam flat rule. Now, I kind of gave it away in our last 2 setups, but in order to play match coverage, you must have a matching flat of some type. I already explained how to tell the difference between cover 4 quarters and cover 4 drop and cover 3 match versus cover 3 sky. But again, when you're on the field and you want to play a match coverage of some type, being able to change your player to a seam flat can be very, very beneficial towards that goal. Take, for instance, this Tampa 2. This is a zone coverage defense. And if I wanted to change this into a match on the fly, I would just find a player, change them into a seam flat, and then I could change not only my outside corner to a quarter, but my inside safety to a corner. And now the right side of the defense is basically playing cover 4 match. If it's a double side, it'll play quarters. And if it's a trip side, it'll play palms. This is especially useful because a lot of times when people play this game, they'll try to get cute and run concepts that flood zone well, but might be a little bit susceptible to being matched if you're in the right type of match coverage. So you can utilize this adjustment on the fly without ever adjusting your play. Just make those hot routes, especially when your opponents like to motion or audible to screw up what you're setting up. You don't have to fumble with your adjustments. Number 4, zone drops and turning them off. You've probably heard people say before that if you go into your coach settings and set zone drops to any depth, that you cannot play a match coverage such as quarters or cover 3 match. And they're correct. You'll see here that when I snap this football, that everyone on the field is going to play basically zone rather than the man-to-man match coverage. And you see right here that this corner route that otherwise would have been matched is now wide open. To fix this, if you want to run zone drops and match at the same time, all you have to do once you break the huddle is reset your play. To do this, hit audible and then hit the left trigger to reset your play. When you do this, this turns your zone drops off in the background. So you remember I put the purple zones to 5. Now you're not going to see that, and instead you're going to see match coverage behavior. And now you're in a situation where that corner route that was wide open on the previous rep is covered. Number 3, going back and forth between match to zone drops and back to match again. We've all been in a situation where our opponent motions or audibles, they come out in a formation where maybe we want to turn our zone drops off and play our match, so we reset our play. But then they motion, and all of a sudden we think to ourselves, you know what, I'd like to go back to my zone drops. Or the other way around. To be able to go back and forth as many times as you want is super important to the success of your defense. So what I want to show you here is a trick that we've taught before. I'm gonna, just for the purpose of this setup, set my curl flats to 30 so you can really see how the purple zones drop. When we come out in a cover 4 quarters here, obviously the zone drops are on, and I will just put them set to 30, and you see that they both drop to the sideline so we can defend those corner routes. We've already talked about resetting the play, but one of the things that a lot of players don't realize is that by resetting the play as we've already done, now that we're back in match rules, let's say that once again on the fly, oh no, I want those 30 yards back. Well, if you set the play that you actually broke the huddle in as an audible, I'm not talking about resetting the play a second time. I'm talking about audibling into the play fresh. You see right here, I've got cover 4 quarters as my right bumper audible. If I actually hit that right bumper, this will turn the zone drops back on. In other words, this allows me to come out, reset the play to turn my zone drops off and my match back on. But by audibling into the play fresh again, this will turn the zone drops once again back on, allowing us to do a better job defending corner routes and getting the stop that we need. So now you can go back and forth as many times as you want. Reset the play, your zone drops are off, your match is on. Audible fresh into the play, your zone drops are back on. Oh, don't want them again? Reset the play again. Now you're back to match. Want them back? Audible again, as many times as you want. If you have the play that you broke the huddle in, you can turn your zone drops on and off as many times as you'd like. And this applies for what it's worth to regular zone as well, but this is great for match rules and mixing them in. Number 2, creating your own palms coverage. I've heard people say, oh, well, I don't want to run this formation because it doesn't have match. In fact, one of my favorite defenses, the main defense I run actually, doesn't have cover 4 match of any type. If you take a look at the 1-4 here, we got a cover 6 that's zone based. You see the purple zone instead of the pink zone. You see we got a cover 4 drop. We've got some cover 3 match, but we don't have any match quarters, palms, or cover 6 or cover 9. Well, that's okay, because you can create it on your own. So to prove this, I'm going to come back out in that Tampa 2. With this play, let's say that we're setting up a meta loop. So a lot of players like to drag this player across the formation and QB contain. All we have to do is put the seam flat on the field and then take our safety and our outside corner and put them into inside quarter and outside quarter. Now in this example, we're playing match coverage. So this is going to be quarters. But if our opponent were to have a trips look to this side, it would be palms. And I'll show that to you momentarily. So we snap this ball. We're going to get a looping style pressure. And you see that that was basically a cover 6 match loop pressure out of a defense that didn't have cover 6 match. Taking a look at the instant replay, you're going to see the seam flat, the inside quarter and the outside quarter playing match. And we get the pressure on the quarterback. Now the flat is obviously open, but we have adjustments for that as well that you guys can obviously take advantage of. If you guys want to switch stick or make other adjustments, you'll be just fine. However, when it comes to playing palms, one of my favorite coverages against a trips, like a trips tight end, for instance, is the cover 4 palms. And in order to do this here, we're now going to call a loop blitz like the Mike SS seam. You'll see here in this example, we've already got a seam flat on this side of the field. All we need is an inside quarter and an outside quarter. Now we have effectively a match coverage. I can man up the running back. I've got a loop pressure. I can do whatever I want on the backside of this defense. Maybe we go ahead and just play like a cover 3 hard flat, whatever you really want to do at the end of the day. But now I know that I'm playing match on everyone on the trip side, and the only thing I have to worry about is that tight end coming underneath. So if I run a drag and then my opponent is trying to flood the sideline, you're going to see that we're going to get matching behavior with the safety on that inside third. I don't have to do much other than just my job. I guard that tight end. Everything is matched on the play right there. A little bit of extra time in the pocket for the quarterback, but you saw the match coverage rules applied. You guys can mix and match this with your favorite loop blitz and be just fine. So you understand here how you can create a cover 4 palms or a cover 4 quarters, but still have loop pressure. And a lot of players honestly just call cover 4 quarters and move that player in dollar. Now you don't have to worry about it. You can call whatever defense you want and have the ability to set this up. And that brings me to number 1 on our list, cover 3 match. This is a PSA. Cover 3 match is the only match style in this game that has rules against twins, trips, tight, bunch strong, and 4 strong alignments. You probably have heard the adage that if our opponents motion the running back over to the trip side, that creates 4 strong and you can't play match. That's true of the cover 4 varieties, but it's not true with cover 3. If you guys want to learn more about cover 3, make sure you guys head over to gridirongameplans.gg or watch some of the other videos on this channel, as I've done plenty of content. but that is the only coverage system from a match standpoint that has rules against every offensive alignment, regardless of whether your opponent puts 4 players to the left or the right of the quarterback. So many players hide from cover 4 quarters by doing these 4 strong alignments. You can't hide from cover 3 match. You can learn more here on the channel by hitting the subscribe button, or check out gridirongameplans.gg for more. But that is our list of 10 match coverage tips that will help you get better overnight. Start playing your best coverage defense. You already know how to get pressure in this game. It's pretty easy to do with all the loops. I hope this video served you guys well. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.